To everything there's a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. That quote from the Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes is one of my favorites. In thinking about what I would talk about for this speech, that quote influenced me to consider time and to look at it from several different perspectives. Why time? Well, time has been very relevant to all of us for the past 20 months. For instance, we've all seen time essentially stand still when a professor runs long on the class right before lunch. And we all remember the time when he ran 30 minutes long on a Saturday afternoon. As I stand up here, I'm very aware of time. I know, for instance, that I have about 3 to 4 minutes before I lose my classmates and become the subject of the text messages that they're probably sending right now. Another 2 to 3 minutes after that, and they could be watching movies or shopping online. So I need to get to the point. Consider the following perspectives. Think back, and you'll remember it was about 2 years ago that many of us were completing the application process for the EMBA program and wondering if this was the right time to do it and whether we could find the time to go to school and manage work, family, hobbies, and friends as well. One way or another, we all made a commitment to spend the last 20 months of our lives here in this program with each other. By July and August of 2012, we began to find ourselves short of time. There were conflicts between case studies, projects at work, and family and friends who wondered if they will ever see us again. There was the joy of trying to do classwork and teleconferencing while traveling. There were countless books and articles read online or listened to via the V-Books app while driving. And there was lots of lost sleep. But somehow time marched on, the cycles of life continued, and life's milestones and fluctuations continued for the EMBA-19s. 5 of us got married. Evan, Chris, Amanda, Wendy, and Sean. 4 of us welcomed new babies into their families. Jared, Kevin, John, and Sampata. And Tony and Wendy have babies on the way. Over a dozen changed jobs, and 1 retired. And unfortunately, some of us lost family members and friends as well. It was also a special time when each of us got to know the 50 other people who make up this wonderful and very social cohort. Starting at the little bar out at the Early Center, we welcomed the time to socialize together. Whether it was happy hours on the 4th floor of Hariri, or at Epicurean in the Tombs, or at several places in Ortaköy in Istanbul, Potluck in Cape Town, Dragon One in Hong Kong, or any one of the many places where we raised a glass and saluted our classmates. There was a much longer list, but I've got a time limit up here, so I had to cut the list of all those places. At the opening residency, Professor Kamrad reminded us how fortunate we were to have the time and the money to dedicate ourselves to self-improvement. And now, both the money and the time are spent. But he was so right. The past 20 months has been a unique and welcome time for growth, where we took time from our lives to further develop our knowledge, to improve our understanding of business, and to increase our capacity to serve. In my own case, it was an energizing time and a time of growth. As my classmates know, I retired from a top Fortune 100 company in September 2012 after over 31 years of service. During that time, I worked in many different functions, from distribution to procurement to sales, strategic planning, and engineering. And I was given positions of increasing responsibility, ultimately ending up managing at the global level. But I could have done better. They don't teach much business at West Point, where I got my undergraduate degree, so I learned most of it by experience, on-the-job training, if you will. I came back to school to strengthen my foundation and enrich my knowledge before I embark on my next career, whether it's in consulting or with startups or turnarounds. As we reviewed case studies and engaged in debate in our work groups or in the classroom, I also reflected on my own experience. As we learned new tools and frameworks for analyzing problems, I realized there were times when I had lacked the confidence to think bigger or analyze more succinctly. I probably could have thought more strategically about our outsourced partners and suppliers. At other times, I had lacked the wisdom and perspective to listen longer and to welcome additional and diverse viewpoints. Even in my ripe old age, I've learned a lot. It has been energizing and a little scary at times. I remember the morning of our first test in Prov and Stats. My classmates around me were opening various calculator apps and grumbling that they hadn't taken a math test in class in 5 or 10 or 15 years. I was simply taking out my trusty old cadet slide rule thinking that I hadn't taken a math test in over 35 years. And for those of you that have never seen a slide rule, I'll give demonstrations in the reception after this. I'm walking away with enhanced knowledge, confidence, and I dare say wisdom. I'm ready to take on new challenges and opportunities, whether it be here in the U.S. or abroad. That's possible because during this time here, we learned a lot from a great cadre of dedicated professors. From regression analysis, to wiggle room, to the bullwhip effect, to net present value, the 4 Ps, M-PESTLE, and 100 other things. And we learn from each other. The brilliance of our class is not always reflected in their GPA, but rather in the dialogue we had within our work teams or the insightful comments someone would make in a class discussion. I thank each of you for those comments, for those moments, and for that insight. In a sense, our time on the hilltop is also timeless. We've now become part of a long tradition of academic excellence built on a system of values and service to others that dates back to 1789. The Georgetown diploma is a pedigree that is known and respected worldwide. It is elite, and it makes us special. So finally, it's time to look ahead. Whatever we choose to do, we'll do well to remember the words of President Kennedy, quoting from St. Luke, who said, "From everyone who has been given much, much will be required." Hopefully there's lots of years left in our lives. What will we do with the next 20, 30, or even 50 years? How will we give back? Will we make our companies better able to serve their shareholders, customers, and communities? Will we improve the government we serve? Will we start our own company? Where will we go? Will we use our time, talent, and treasures to serve others? How will we make the world better for our children and for those who come after us? Each of us must find our own answers to those questions. And finally, this is time for gratitude. I believe you join me in being grateful for this time here, the professors and administration, and for each other. It's a time to thank our wives, husbands, partners, and families for supporting us through the program. Hopefully they'll welcome us back home full-time now. It's been a fast, fun 20 months into 19. Now it's time to plan that first reunion celebration. Congratulations and best wishes.